Hello, everyone. My name is Greg Sullins. I lead the U.S. Banking Center of Excellence for Newgen Software. Today, we'll be talking about the AI lending highway, really accelerating your journey with both Newgen and AWS. Joining me from Newgen Software is Sandeep Hinduja. He is the Vice President, Head of Banking for the U.S. for Newgen Software. And then we also have Ervin Bradham. Ervin is a banking industry specialist with AWS. So let me just start, Sandeep, just to introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Greg. My name is Sandeep Hinduja, and as Greg mentioned, I head up Newgen's banking business in the US. Really excited to be here with you and share some insights of what we're seeing in the market, and also looking forward to hearing from you towards the end of the webinar in terms of what your thoughts are. And thanks, Greg, for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks, Sandeep. Ervin.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I'm the banking industry specialist at AWS, and I've been at AWS for right at 3 years. I've spent right at 25 years within the financial services industry in divisional CIO and CTO roles. Thanks for having me today, Greg.
Great. So as you can see, we have some industry experts here as we embark on this journey. Now, a quick reminder, we will be taking questions from the audience, and I see many have joined. So we will be taking questions at the end of the session today. So let's get started on where are we today? And I'll start this off with a question to Sandeep. Industry reports suggest that banks are investing heavily in AI, with noticeable gains in areas of customer engagement, servicing efficiency, and fraud prevention. But are these really reflective of the industry at large? So, Sandeep, what are you seeing in terms of real world impact and adoption across the broader banking sector?
Thanks, Greg. So I think the first and foremost is from our point of view as a software provider, AI is real, right? It's not anything new, like many people say. It's been around for decades, but now the compute capacity has made a lot of those use cases real. So just like we are investing a lot, most of our customers are investing heavily in AI as well. And the good news is, 68% of the banks, according to our internal research, are just beginning their AI journeys. A majority of our customers made investments in some form and shape in AI in the last year. A majority of them were in things like pilots and POCs. And a large majority of those banks that started those journeys last year will see some form of rollout of AI-based use cases into production. The challenge that they have been facing has been related to data. We all know AI is a data game. And today, about 55% of the organizations or the banks in the US are still living with data silos, which becomes a major barrier to innovation based on AI. So we're seeing a lot of investment in the areas of data consolidation, whether it is in areas like deployment of data lakes, data fabrics, and all of this is being done with the eventual intent of leapfrogging their AI journeys. With those trends being stated, Greg, it is also true that almost a third of the customers continue to struggle with enhancing their experience. And we're talking about experience on both the external stakeholders and the internal stakeholders. And AI has started to show a real possibility in terms of making those desired experiences real. But those inconsistencies still continue to exist. So we're also seeing a lot of investments and interest going into areas around improvement of experience once that data-related conundrum has been solved.
Excellent points there. Ervin, I'd love to get your perspective from AWS.
Yeah, what we're seeing is that journey for banks and in their lending environment is across multiple different phases. You have the discovery phase, you have the application phase, the underwriting phase, the actual closing phase, then also the servicing and managing the loans once they're on the books. But when you think about what's new and what's starting today, when you think about the discovery phase, in the past, banks had to rely on customers to come to them. With the advent of AI, banks are using AI to actually connect with customers at their point of dreaming. So if a customer goes to a Home Depot website or a Lowe's website and they're looking at cabinets, banks are actually capturing that data and making offers to them, which is really a different way of acquiring customers from in the past. So we're seeing AI being implemented ahead of the traditional application phase of the lending process.
Thanks, Ervin. So, I guess as we have started this journey, we're seeing the bank, some in Sandeep's, references on the percentages of banks starting this. Sounds like we're really at a good start. But the sooner that you can really understand kind of where you are, position yourself to leverage advancements in AI solutions, the better. So let's peel it back a little bit more. So why should banks look at adopting AI? And so, Ervin, I'll start this one off with you here. Given the regulatory risk, skill gaps that we're seeing, concerns on technology maturity, what incentives or drivers should encourage financial institutions to move forward with their AI journey despite these challenges?
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, Greg, what we're seeing is that AI is enabling multiple industries to provide customers with a hyper personalized, omni channel experience. And the customers are liking it. And what they're doing is coming into their banks and asking for that same type of interaction. And so banks are having to really go on the AI journey in order to meet the needs of customers. And that's that hyper personalization. Also, banks are being requested to become more efficient, and AI enables the banks to become more efficient by taking those manually intensive processes, interjecting AI to help with the decisioning, looking at documents to make it more efficient. Finally, the fintechs, as I said earlier, are really making it hard for the banks because they're creating these new innovative products. They're creating these innovative products at a lower cost. So traditional banks are having to really look at AI to keep pace with what the fintechs and what their customers are asking for them to do.
Thanks, Ervin. Sandeep, I'd love to have your perspective from Newgen Software.
Sure, Greg. So, at Newgen, we digitalize a lot of these journeys. So, Ervin talked about hyper personalization, and that is truly one of the biggest lifts we are seeing. So, whether you're talking about an account opening journey on the consumer side, or you're talking about a loan application that has to go in either on small business or commercial, or even on the consumer side, the biggest challenge that banks have faced since time immemorial has been the application abandonment, simply given the data load that is put on the borrower, for example, or it's the broken journeys where at some point you want the applicant to start calling a call center to take the application forward. AI has removed those kinks and now has made those journeys seamless. Not only have those journeys become seamless, we're also able to hyper personalize those journeys. So no longer are customers compelled to pick from a la carte menu of 10 options, and those are the 10 the customer or the borrower must be fit into. We are also seeing a lot of work going into the area of bringing in that dynamic behavior in applications as the application kind of takes shape. That is one. So the hyper personalization is the first fuel to why. The second one that excites me the most is financial inclusion, right? Credit, for example, has been dished out, if you may, based on standard X rows and Y column based scorecards. And not all borrowers are able to fit into those scorecards. And I'm talking about the non-standard borrowers. I'm talking about our military personnel going on tours, for example. And AI is now making it real in terms of tailored risk modeling to better manage risk, to be able to price that risk that is being custom suited to a specific set of borrowers, for example. And then more importantly, efficient risk management overall, right? So for example, things like your early warning systems based on a certain pattern of borrowers and the ability of lenders to be able to manage that risk better through those early warning systems will help drive that efficient risk management. And last but not the least, the most common area, and Ervin touched upon this, most banks are looking at AI for driving productivity. So reduction of cost through hyper automation of manual operations, driving a certain operations that have taken X number of days and cutting them down to 1/10 and 1/20th of what it used to be. Those are productivity related efficiency gains. So I think if I look at my radar, the reason why falls into either hyper personalization for a better experience, efficient risk management, and hence better financial inclusion, and last but not the least, reduced risk through hyper automation of manual operations.
Excellent thoughts. And really, I mean, those are excellent reasons for all financial institutions to kind of take notice and think about how to. Both of you talked about personalization, improving that customer experience, driving efficiency, driving revenue growth. Obviously, this can impact employee retention as well. So as you really move up the AI, and try to move toward cruise control, if you will. So let's think a little bit about the on ramp for transformation, right? So while the benefits of AI are widely acknowledged, what practical steps can banks take to overcome these hurdles to adoption? And really, what does that journey or ramp toward AI lending truly look like? I'm going to start with you, Sandeep, to kind of pick up on these points and kind of what can we do to really accelerate and move forward?
Sure, Greg. And as a company, we've always been true to our DNA, which is to eliminate the need to write code organically, right? We made Gartner's Magic Quadrant in terms of our low code capabilities and all of it hyper scalable based on the AWS platforms that help us deliver that scale. And we've extended that same philosophy to AI as well. So first and foremost is, AI is still evolving. There are different technologies within AI. AI is not a point in time kind of a technology where you buy it and you're done. It is evolving. It will continue evolving. Use cases that we are today delivering run across various forms of AI, whether it's your traditional predictive AI or the Gen AI or the agentic AI and now the explainable AI. What we encourage our customers to look at is taking a platform-based approach. Understand that we will not rip and replace infrastructure overnight. We will enhance that infrastructure over a period of time. Now, as you enhance that infrastructure, your ability to deliver these automations, if you may, or these AI use cases will be a method where you will infuse AI into your existing journeys, into your existing experiences. Now, as you're working on infusing AI into your existing use cases, it is important to maintain a single version of truth, if you may, a common launch platform. So your ability to orchestrate these AI journeys from a single version of truth. So that platform story is number one that we look at, right? So the objective is, as you are embarking on your AI-based transformation, don't end up back into the erstwhile spaghetti architectures where you now need an AI transformation to happen 5 years down the line. So maintaining a synonymous architecture for AI modernization will help in the long run. That is point one. Point two is try to stick with use cases that have been tried and tested. So which means not every journey needs to be organically invented. So for example, at Newgen, we are providing verticalized AI journeys in the form of microservices that can be embedded into the existing landscape of many banks. So you don't have to organically figure out, hey, how can I drive volumes in my online channel as against my call centers? That is a problem that has been figured out. Now, at some point in time, when you go into risk modeling, for example, engines still have bias, truth be told. So explainable AI, for example, is helping us there in terms of saying, hey, why was a certain decision taken in a way it was taken? And hence, combining these technologies on a single platform while being cognizant of the fact that we will infuse journeys over a long term will help us stay organized and help us modernize in the right manner.
Excellent point, Sandeep. Very curious, Ervin, your thoughts on these practical steps that banks can take to overcome the hurdles to adoption in AI.
Yeah, one of the single most important thing that we've seen as banks look to implement AI in a successful way is really getting your security and compliance team involved early as possible. And the successful implementations have shown that if you do that, you don't get through the whole process and build your models and go to implement into production, and your security and compliance team says no. As Sandeep said earlier, you want to be able to explain what your model is doing, how it is making the decisions based on the data that is pulling into the model. So you have to have those conversations up front. I would say the second thing would be to start small. Don't try to put in an intergalactic AI system. Think of something really small in an area that's highly manual, and then implement that quickly, realize the benefits, and then move forward. I think the manual intensive processes, such as ID verifications on a loan, document classification when a customer submits those documents, and also the customer service side, using chat bots and voice bots to actually take questions from customers. It really helps you to be successful. And we've seen, as Sandeep said, some of the implementations have been in very repetitive places where they can be successful. So look at where others have been successful, actually get your security team involved, and finally, start small and deliver value early.
Excellent lessons learned from both of you there. As we think about, establishing kind of where benchmark where you are as an organization, is what kind of heard you say, establish a game plan, involvement of holistic involvement across your organization. So great to allow you to really start to step forward. So, as we look at AI and delivering a real return on investment, because at the end of the day, if we're not delivering return on investment, why are we doing some of these things in loan origination? So once a bank moves beyond the initial AI experiment or establishes repeatable, trusted use cases that Sandeep has mentioned, what does mature AI adoption look like in practice? And more specifically, are there examples of measurable business impact, operational gains that both of you talked about, and risk reduction that point to long-term value that can help our listeners out there think about how to build that return on investment business case for their AI initiatives? So I'm going to start with Sandeep here as we open this up. Sandeep?
Sure, Greg. And allow me to double click on this from the loan origination point of view, and I can also trend into other areas of lending, for example. But one of the most prevalent or prominent use cases that we have delivered is to do with management of documents. Whether you look at consumer lending or you look at commercial lending, documentation has always been a big area of manual touch across journeys and across the operations floors. So we've structured an AI-based intelligent document management system, which not only helps you intelligently manage documents across different asset classes, it also helps you classify documentation, index them into different folders, get the application ready for underwriting. And we're doing that from the consumer side on the low touch loans all the way to the commercial real estate, which are relatively higher touch loans. So we're managing all of that in real time. An area where we're also seeing a lot of uplift is in income verification. Traditionally, we've been auto fetching information for standard borrowers, but what about non-standard borrowers? So AI has now been able to look at documents coming in that don't necessarily meet your standard formats. We're also able to read, index, classify those documents to automate the pipeline. So that word automate the pipeline is very important because using AI, as you go from the origination piece into things like, let's say, servicing and collections downstream, AI is driving a lot of the use cases there. But let me come back to loan origination. The second part, which I touched upon initially, is the hyper-personalization and the engagement part of it. Even today, if you look at it, majority of our lender customers, specifically in the top 50, if you may, do not offer 100% digital journeys. There will always be a stop somewhere on the way where a number will pop up saying call the call center or visit a branch for the next steps. And most of that is usually related to aggregation of information from external sources. So AI is now able to not only merge information from external sources, it's also able to blend that within the information that is available within the firewall or the boundaries of the lender, and is able to orchestrate journeys based on that combined information from external data points and internal data points. The next benefit there is we're seeing a 3x jump in loan decisioning, right? There will never be, or we don't see it now, never say never, 100% automation in decision making. There will always be that one case that will fall off. But many of our lenders, in case of the high volume, low touch asset classes, are able to achieve upwards of 90% automation in decision making. So how do you keep reducing that manual exception queue management will go on reducing. So AI is actually delivering real ROI in terms of automation of the decision-making capacity and delivering those significant gains, right? Last but not the least, before I can go on about this all day, but as a few live examples that we are seeing, also talk about how we're dispersing funds. We've delivered this for a lender wherein, traditionally they've been for decades, a team of 300 people has been writing checks, and those checks are lost in mail, there's check fraud, etc. We've been able to automate all of that, and we've been able to give a digital experience where QR code-based technologies, your AI-based verification of registered, pre-registered, for example, recipients of those funds are vetted, and then payments are routed through ACH networks. And we've been able to cut down an erstwhile T+7 cycle down to a T+1 cycle, right? So that's, again, a real life example that AI is driving. So those are some of these stories, Greg, that come to mind.
No, excellent points there, and really, combination of Sandeep, what you kind of talked about, really, and talks about speed matters, right? We talked a lot about speed, accuracy, quality, scalability, right? For many of you out here listening, repeatability, reliability. That's really what your customers are expecting. We've got Ervin here from Amazon, and many of you out there listening, you use Amazon for other services. I'm sure you're automatically reaching in for your cell phone and ordering something, expect it now. And we're talking about lending, and that's the mindset of those really kind of growing up now, is they're expecting things now, not you need to do this or that. And so both of you have kind of mentioned really speed matters, accuracy, dependability, ease of service, and ease of doing business needs to translate into lending. And to do so, AI can be that lever, if you will, to help you accomplish a lot of those goals. So as we think about kind of moving forward here, I'd like to talk about why Newgen and AWS and the power of this partnership. And Ervin, I want to start with you here in this as we think about, you know, we've got this partnership between Newgen and AWS. It's well positioned, has been for a long time. But what does our listeners need to know of why that's important?
Yeah. Greg, when I think about Newgen, they have a wealth of knowledge within the financial services industry. They work with some of the top tier banks across the world. What we as AWS provide is services that will enable them to leverage AI. And so those services that we provide, paired with the knowledge and the experience that Newgen brings to the table, creates a force multiplier for our customers. It accelerates their ability to get products and services to the market. And it's done by a team of professionals at Newgen that has done it before. And so they understand the challenges, they understand the hurdles, they understand that you need to get your security team involved. And just working with Newgen and their understanding of our services and the financial services business is definitely a reason why we are partnering with Newgen to help our customers accelerate their AI journey.
Excellent, excellent. Sandeep, why is the Newgen AWS partnership so important?
Greg, it's not only important, it's also very successful. And this may be new to Ervin, but I'll give you a little spill. And when we ask ourselves inside Newgen, why AWS, it's the story of the three S's. And the first one is speed. We are able to leverage pre-built integrations. We are able to deploy different environments very fast. The set of tools available on AWS help us focus on our business while taking care of infrastructure that is readily available. So speed is one. The second is scale. We may start small. We may start in a small proof of concept for AI for a particular customer, but moving that into production and then scaling that over millions of customers is seamless. There is no start and stop there. That scalability aspect of it is a big driver for us. And last but not the least, security, right? So when you're innovating at scale, security cannot be an afterthought. And Ervin brought this up earlier, bringing security very quickly up front. So while we provide these AI-first digital solutions to our customers, providing them with a partner like AWS allows us to go fast, allows us to scale, and allows us to do all that while being completely in a secure framework. So I think those are the three that come to mind when talking about why AWS.
Yeah, no, I've witnessed from our Center of Excellence just the obvious synergies created from both AWS and Newgen solutions as we go in the marketplace, and all those levers that both of you've kind of mentioned around performance, scalability, reliability, repeatability. Security's got to be, and compliance has got to be top of mind for all of our listeners out there, and it's taken extremely serious by both organizations there to enable faster deployments. So, we've heard some great things here so far. I'd really like to kind of shift gears a little bit and kind of think about some of the key messages that each of you would like to share with our listeners out there. Maybe things that we haven't exactly covered, or maybe re-emphasize points that you've made to this point. And I'm going to start, Ervin, with you, and then we'll go over to Sandeep. But Ervin, thoughts on kind of your overall message here that you would want our listeners to hear on this AI lending journey.
Yeah, we would start first with security. At AWS, security is first for us. We want to make sure that our services are secure so that as our customers and partners use those services, they know that security is built in. Second is scalability. Within AWS, we provide a scalable environment. So as our customers' business grows, we're able to scale with them. Third, we partner with partners such as Newgen to accelerate our customers' migration to the cloud and leveraging AI in the cloud. And finally, what I would say is the partnership between the two of us with customers that are listening, it will allow us to deliver for them and for their customers differentiated customer experiences that will allow them to be successful now and for the foreseeable future.
Excellent points. Sandeep, Newgen's thoughts and your perspective here as we kind of shift gears.
Sure. I think Newgen should be your first partner of choice, at least for the evaluation phase of as you get started in your AI journeys. And we are an AI first digital solution provider. We are able to modernize your infrastructure in parts. We are completely microservices based, which means you can assimilate the value we bring within your existing landscapes. And we can do it with our partners at AWS at scale, no matter how large your operations are. We can help you deliver that value quickly. And then we operate across all business lines that you operate. So we have AI-based digital solutions across consumer banking, across commercial banking, across trade finance, across payments. So we can be the partner for the long term that can help you bring in these uplifts on AI and digital transformation without having to do those surgeries at the level of the core that can be very expensive and time consuming.
Excellent. Excellent. Ervin, you want to follow up there?
Yeah, I had a follow up there. And for the listeners, if you're on AWS and you're on the AWS marketplace, to get access to the services that Newgen has to offer, it becomes a lot less painful because you won't have to go through the procurement process. Your billing will be set up because it's already on marketplace. So you can focus on what are the solutions that you want to leverage from AWS and Newgen to streamline your business and leverage AI going forward.
Excellent point. I want to remind our audiences we are taking questions here at the end, and I do see some coming in the queue. But as we think about this, these key points, these are excellent thoughts, both from both of you, in how the partnership kind of works, how we can differentiate and be there to help transform for our clients, both banks, credit unions, that are embarking on these lending journeys and transformational journeys. Let me look here. We've got a question coming in the queue right now from, let's see here. Let me review this right quick. So first question, how does the Newgen and AWS partnership support integration with legacy systems during digital transformation? That's a great question. During digital transformation. Sandeep, why don't you start with this? So again, let me read this. How does the Newgen AWS partnership support integration with legacy systems during the digital transformation?
Great question. And AWS, first of all, I think Ervin will do more justice to this question, so I'll pass it on to him shortly. But the way we have built our solution architecture allows you to, first of all, take these leaps. You don't have to do everything as a monolithic block anymore. You can deploy functionality in parts and pieces. And I was referring to the microservices architecture earlier. Now, as you deploy this in parts, AWS provides a rich repository of tools that allow you to connect your on-prem infrastructure to their cloud-based resources. So for example, if we were running a credit decision engine on the cloud on AWS, this credit decision engine can seamlessly connect to your other infrastructure upstream and downstream that may be running on your legacy systems. And it gives you a set of options where even if you do not want to, for example, uh, quote unquote, cross the boundaries of your firewall as far as data is concerned, there are architectural options where you can send the data request out and receive the data back, the request back, while keeping the integrity of data within the firewalls. So whether it's connecting with on-prem systems or it is deploying solutions in parts in a hybrid architecture where part of it is running on the cloud, a part of it is running on your on-prem infrastructure, AWS provides a very rich set of repositories or tools. And we at Newgen have built our solutions in line with that architecture. So we're not coupling two separately built solutions. These have been built natively grounds up for the AWS supported architecture options. Ervin, over to you.
Yeah, Sandeep, you're spot on. I mean, we build services that will allow customers to connect to their legacy systems, to their modern cloud infrastructure. And Newgen has that expertise to understand how to go and talk with customers, understand what their requirements are, and leverage those services to build those connections to the legacy and the modern cloud infrastructure. They've done it several times. They don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. And they have several use cases where they've done it. And they've done it in a manner where the customer can go through and over time migrate from those legacy systems in phases. So you don't have to do it all at once. And so it's not a huge risk. And so they're expert at how do we do this and mitigate the risk so that customers can migrate from that legacy infrastructure to their new cloud modern infrastructure. So Newgen understands it, and they understand our tool. They understand our tools that will enable that.
That's great, Ervin, and I'm getting a thumbs up here that I guess you guys both hit the mark. Let me see here. We have another question coming in the queue. What are the first areas in loan origination where you would recommend applying AI to see quick, measurable impact? Oh, that's a great one. Sandy, if you want to start with this one, areas in loan origination.
Yes,
You've addressed some of these, but you might want to dive deeper.
happy to, Greg, and thank you. So I think within loan origination, let's start with the retail side first, and I'll also touch on the commercial side of it. On the retail side of it, and I talked about how application abandonment is one of the primary, areas of attention for most lenders, and reducing the load on the borrower for data entry and making those applications seamless and fast is one area where that can be quickly solved. So what within that can we do? I think hyper automating the applications for low touch asset classes is one, and I'll be more specific. A 22 field, 2-page auto loan application is now being crunched down to a 6-click 4-field data entry. And that is real. And as you make those clicks, the AI engines in the background are running all the checks. They're taking the application through KYC fraud checks. They're checking on income. They're running an underwriting model, and they're bringing you back a decision all within those 5 to 6 clicks at most, right? Can that be further crunched down? Always. A question is every click comes at a cost, and different organizations look at cost differently. But that I think is the first area of that omni-channel, low-touch application journeys can be delivered realistically on retail banking. That is one. The second area within retail banking where we're seeing adoption is on the underwriting part of it. And we have an AI-driven credit decision engine, which is right now our fastest moving product in the aisle, running on AWS infrastructure. And lenders are seeing several X uptick in automated decision making. Many lenders are taking a cautious eye at it, and there's always a maker checker infrastructure in place. But the AI engines are now automating credit decisioning to what used to be erstwhile a completely manual process. Believe it or not, many lenders even today are waiting a day before they're able to give out a credit decision, and AI is bringing that to reality. Uh, Combined with the maker checker concept, security and risk is also contained because you can always make sure you're looking at what the AI engines are doing, and before you render it to the external entities or the borrowers, to be more specific. And last but not the least, within retail, Greg, we're also seeing a lot of uptick in call analytics. uh, there are many lenders that are still saying, no, let it come to the call center and let our agents or loan officers are trained to handle these kind of calls for these kind of asset classes. Our call analytics that are infused with AI are now able to monitor calls and in real time guide those call center agents in terms of saying this borrower is not a match for this product which they're requesting, but maybe a better match for this product which is also available, for example. So that call center analytics is again a low hanging fruit as far as the retail segment is concerned. I've given you 3 examples there, but very quickly on the commercial side, the biggest uplift we are seeing is in intelligent document processing. Getting a LexisNexis 400-page report, making a 100-word summary out of it traditionally would take a few days for an underwriter to do. AI engines are able to do that in the upper 90% accuracy rate in under minutes. So that whole management of documents, and again, financial spreading is another example. Our ability to look at rent rolls and then spread that information, for example, into financial spreading engines has taken a leapfrog in terms of timelines for it. So getting a commercial lending application with applications across real estate, C&I loans, that intelligent document processing on commercial lending is a real use case that's available as a product, again, on AWS. And then finally, last but not the least, your probability of default and your loss given default calculations, which would traditionally take some time, are now getting crunched down severely. On the commercial side, your debt service ratios, calculations, etc., are becoming much faster because we're able to look at a wider data set in a much lesser period of time.
Excellent point there, Sandeep. And I might add from Newgen Center of Excellence, so many of the AI agents that Sandeep was mentioning, we have 3 to speak of, and I would just like to add their names here. Under the Newgen umbrella is an AI agent called Marvin, which does exactly what Sandeep is talking about, and that ability to automatically identify documents, index those documents automatically, summarize the documents like he's talking about with the LexisNexis report, and allow you to interrogate that document. That can be. I had a banker a few weeks ago say, "Look, that is equivalent to a 20-year processor." Now, I didn't want to be in the room with a 20-year processor that when he said that, but he was talking about speed, accuracy, reliability, scalability when he was talking about Newgen's Marvin system. And then Sandeep talked about the call center capabilities as well, and that ability to address those. So anyway, and that particular AI agent for Newgen is called Harper. And then we have a marketing tool at Newgen that you could use in lending, particularly, and it's called Lumen, which will allow you to look at the probability of selling a certain product or success of that customer taking that product. We've got time for one more question here. And as I look in the queue, let me jump to this particular question. Ervin, I'm going to start with you on this.
Okay.
How can banks ensure AI models used in credit decisioning remain explainable and compliant, especially as regulations evolve? So, Ervin, start with you, and we'll finish with Sandeep.
One of the services that we have is called SageMaker Clarity. And Clarity actually provides the ability to document and say, here's exactly what went into the decision that was made by the AI ML tool, and it gives a finite trail so that if you have to sit in front of the regulators, you can talk to them and give them the explainability of the model. And so that's a service that's built in that can be leveraged by Newgen as they build solutions for their customers.
Excellent, excellent. Sandeep, your thoughts on credit decisioning, explainability, compliant. We hear this all the time, and obviously regulatory environment continuing to evolve.
It's an excellent question, Greg, and pardon me, the engineer in me always takes over when I'm answering this question. If you look at the AWS AI cloud, that neural network has trillions of data points it's touching at any given point in time. So technically, if we were to say, can we explain the AI details to a borrower, for example, the first instinct would be impossible. But like Ervin mentioned, we are reaching a point where besides vendors like ourselves doing a lot of work to cure the initial hallucinations of these engines, for example, uh, combined with tools that Ervin talked about, we are now building a layer of explainable AI where in the happy path or the happy scenario, when a loan that would not have been approved has been approved, the situation is easier and simpler. It's good news you're delivering. But if a credit decision engine comes up with a negative result, that is where these technologies become really helpful, where you're laying over a layer of explainable AI over your traditional AI capabilities, whether you're using Gen AI or using agentic AI, for example, wherein you're not only rendering a decision, you're also explaining that decision in user explainable formats, right? So traditionally you'd say credit is a problem. What within credit, I think we are now doing much better with AI than we would do in case of manual systems. So that explainable layer combined with the tools that AWS offers, that explainability along with biased decisions becomes a more potent combination to play around and make sure that you're doing what is right by the market and by the regulators at large.
Excellent. Well, listen, we are running at time here, and we have several others in the queue, and we'll work to get back to all of those offline. But I want to stop and thank Sandeep and Ervin for your time and your expertise and insight on this very important AI lending highway topic here. Hopefully, we've been able to share some lessons learned with the listeners. Kind of a path forward, how to build your return on investment, things to think about on this journey. But in the meantime, if you'd like to learn more, hopefully you will on Newgen Software. Please visit us at newgensoft.com. And we look forward to hearing from you and working with you all. Please have a great day. Take care.